Um, Hello. Um, so, continuing from where we left off yesterday, we had done. Okay, let's see. I had done the endpoints for the to-dos, all five of them, and the endpoints for the lists, two of them. So today, what I wanted to do was I wanted to work on the endpoints for the authentication part, which is like registered endpoint and a login endpoint, and taking care of the generating and using the JWT token, which will kind of verify or authorize a user. So, in my old code, I had used something called I had used a node package called JSON Web Token. So this has a couple of methods which kind of gives us um, for a particular payload, it gives us a token. It returns a token which we can use, and it also has a method to verify a token, which is called here, and it would simply tell us if this is. It would just give us back the payload that we generated the token with. So there's that. And so in Python, there should be something similar, I suppose. Let's search for it. So we want something that generates JSON web tokens in Python. So we have something called token-based authentication with Flask. And what does it say? We have a project set up. This is the database setup. Create database. And so we have the development config. I think we should set up our config like this. We should have a class, and we should have different configurations for each environment, maybe. Okay. For SQL, I think we gotta use this SQL. We should try it out. I should try it out sometime. Migrations. This would make stuff infinitely easier. Add a models.py to your server directory, user model. We would have like a to-do model, a user model, and a list model. Install psychopg2 within manage change to import app db models. Apply the migration. Did it work? All right. The JWT setup, the auth workflow works as follows. Client provides email and password, which is sent to the server. Say, so when we want to register, we'll have an email, we'll have a password, right? And we'll have some other data. Server then verifies that email and password are correct and responds with an auth token. Client stores the token and sends it along with all subsequent requests to the API. So when we're talking about the client, that's the browser, and we'll most likely store the token in the local storage of the browser, which is like, I'll just show you the developer's console. There is something called local storage, and we can store stuff here. This just stores it for a particular browser window. You have it stored there for any browser, and then sends it along. So when we say sends it along with all subsequent, we can mostly send it in the request of an API. In the request, yeah, we can send it along in the header of that request. Server decodes the token and validates it. When we are talking about decoding, it's just like it would be some kind of call to the verify method of whatever package we're using. This cycle repeats until the token expires, right? The token themselves are divided into three parts: header, payload, and signature. We'll dive a bit deeper into the payload, but if you're curious, you can read more about it. To work with JSON web tokens, install the JWT package, okay? And add the following method to the user class. So to encode token, what do? We have a payload and we have this, okay? So we have put some expiry time. I think this here is like 5 seconds. Then we have put an IIT, which is the issued at time, which is now. And we have the sub, which is, I don't know, it's just the user ID. And so that's the payload. And this is the secret key. And this is the algorithm. We always need a secret key for generating some kind of token so that we can use it to get it back. The same key. So we always need a key with an encryption algorithm. Don't know what is HS256. Don't forget to add the import JWT. So given a user ID, this method creates and returns token from the payload, and the secret key is set in the config.py file. The payload is where we add metadata about the token and the information about the user. This is often referred to as JWT claims. We utilize the following claims: expiry date, the time the token was generated, and the subject of the token. The secret key must be random and only accessible server-side. Use the Python interpreter to generate a key. We'll just use something stupid like secret. Set the key as an environment variable. Okay. Update the tests. So on and so forth. Right. Next, we go to decode the token. So this happens when we want to verify the user every time a request is sent. So to decode, we will have the payload equal to jwt.decode, the auth token, and the key. And it would return the payload to us, and we would know whether it is. So if payload is proper, we get back one, then everything's good. This is an authorized user. We need to decode. This is an authorized token. We need to decode the auth token with every API request and verify its signature to be sure of the user's authenticity. To verify the auth token, we use the same secret key used to encode a token. Okay. If it is valid, we get the user ID. Otherwise, we get these two errors. Throws some exceptions: expired or invalid. And there we do have register, login, logout, and user. So we can modify the code a little bit and kind of work with this. I think we don't really need so much code. So the register route would be something like, yeah. So what is it? doing? This is a test. Okay. Okay, this is the resting. Register API. Get the post data. Check if the user is already there. If not, all right. So we'll create one, and then we'll generate the token, and then we'll return the response of whatever it is that we want to return. Um, yeah. Okay. Quite simple. Okay. What is this? This is another test. Registered user login. Yeah, this is the login part. Login is even simpler. I think it's almost the same. Get the email, check for the password. Okay, the auth token first. Okay, so where is the login happening? Email. There should be a. Hey, the login does not check the password? That is strange. Okay, anyway, we would be checking the password, so there's that. Do we not check the password? That is weird. Okay, and we do not, so we create an auth code. Okay, it looks like they skipped that. Okay, non-registered user login. Okay. Mm, here you go. So you have a check password, and you then create the token, then you return it. Right. Do you not return it? Okay, yes. In the response and user status route, I don't think we. This would be the verify, I suppose. Yes. User API. Get the user data. Okay. I think. Um, so we have some idea about how to go about this, and we'll kind of start the code. Um, Right, I think it's been 15 minutes or so, so let me just take a couple of minutes break, then I'll come back. Okay, so okay, so okay, let's get started with our code. And so we have our new server. Should we create a utils file? Maybe auth utils, but let's just make it utils for now. So right now we want to have token based authentication. So let's get up there and see what our code is like. So the encode token part, we can completely have it in our utils file. So what we are going to do is we are going to install the py.jwt package like this, right? Just have a look at what it has. It's a Python library which allows you to encode and decode JSON web tokens. Okay, and so it's pretty simple. I think this is what we are going to use. It's an RSA encoding and decoding via the cryptography module. I think we do have that, but I don't know. Okay, let's see. Let's just install it first. Let's go to our server. Okay, and let's install it. Why does it keep saying this? Why don't we just install it first? Okay. Right. So let's add import JWT, and we would need an encode token, and we would need the user ID. Just have a try. Side that we'll have the payload, and we'll do a JWT.encode, right? Yeah. So let's define our function. Let's call it the same, JWT generator. And this would be a normal function, so it's not a class. We will just give it a user ID. And after this, I want to define the payload. Payload equal to, let's give it the same stuff that we saw. So we had a, what was it called? Expiry time, which is EXP. Okay. There was something here. What are we doing? So we are using datetime.datetime.utc now, which is current date, datetime. Datetime is, as far as I know, a package. I do not think this comes out of the box, but they don't mention it. So okay, datetime.time delta. I'm pretty sure we need some kind of package for this. Let's see, datetime.datetime UTC. Now, like we should import it. Import datetime. Okay, so we have this, and now plus let's have time delta. Is this another package that we need? Time delta dot, it's a datetime package. That's part of datetime. I don't know if it's a package or not. It's probably time delta is a class. Okay, and inside this we are giving days and seconds. I want to give it as 2 hours. It represents the difference between two datetime objects. A representation is days, seconds, microseconds. Why? I felt like it. I want to give it as equal to 6 hours. I hope that's okay. There's this. Then we have issued at time is datetime dot UTC now, and then we have the actual thing, which is called subject, which is the user ID. That's our payload. Now we have to find our payload, and what's next? Now we want to call the method jwt dot something. So we want to return it as well. We want to put it inside a try catch. Should we just? We want to put the entire thing inside a try catch just in case payload. I don't see the point of putting. Okay, maybe time delta could fail. Okay. Return jwt dot encode. What does encode need? A payload, a key, and an algorithm. So we have the payload. And keep the key as secret. C. Make it small. CCRET. And what else? Algorithm is H is 256. Although I think this is default. That's it. So let's return except exception is E, return E, which is like very. We just return it. Except exception E. Is that right? That's me. Okay. Okay. So now we have to find our JWT generator, which will take a payload user ID, and it will return the token. So let's save this, and that was our JWT generator, and that was done. Now we want to have our. Do we want to have it here as well? Decode. We could. So let's find it here. Let's see what it does. So we have a decode and we have the token here. And what we do is we get the token, the secret key, and we get the payload and we return the payload, the user ID mostly. And we throw some errors. Okay. So def, let's call it jump. What did we call it in our, was it authorize? Perfect. We're just using it here. We didn't really call it anything, but okay, let's call it decode. I think encode and decode is so much more intuitive, possibly. Underscore. For sense, I think. Auth underscore token. And we get the payload, which we put it in a try. And we ask for the payload equals jwt dot decode. So what do you need? You need the key, and you need the auth token, obviously, the auth token, and the key, which is secret. And yes, so we get the payload, and the payload will have all this stuff, and so we need just the sub, so we return the sub. Return payload, just the user ID. And let's just write accept. Okay. But what exceptions? JWT has its own exceptions. Expired signature error. You can return some kind of message. Token expired. Please log in again. And what was the other case? Accept JW. What else can we got? Invalid token error. I think this would be the generic one. That's simply invalid error. Token error. Return invalid token error. Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. So we have encoded and we have decoded. Now what's left is our routes to be set up, and it would be calling our database as well as our JWT token methods. So the register route. Okay, this one is all right. So we'll go to our routes, and we'll start off by first defining the register route @app.route, and we define the route itself, register, and then we define the method equals maybe get no post. Right. Okay, and now we name our view function as registered. And we're in. So our request would be having .json. So this is our request object, and this would be having all this post data. Request.getJSON. I don't know. I think .json is enough. And this is our request object. So object, and now we want to get the email and the password, maybe, and we want to insert it, and we want to generate the auth token, and then we want to return it. All right. User.encode auth token. Wait, why are we generating it and then we are decoding it? That's a mystery. What? Auth token don't decode. But where are we doing a decode? What's confused? Decode. What is this decode? Auth token is just the string. Makes no sense. But anyway. Object. We have the email. We have the password. Make it quickly. Name. Okay. So this is all that's needed. Now we can just paste this part. Or we can just take the insert part. Up to here. No, up to here. So insert into user. Let's copy the query. I don't think we need to do it again. So we have our JWT auth, and this is the entire query. Username, email, password. Name. Email. Now, before we are not going to be storing the password in plain text, so we have to change this. So I think we're doing it later, but I believe we should encrypt it. It's because it's already doing this. Got it. So they're using bcrypt. Let's just import it here. Import bcrypt. And let's use it to encode our password. Okay, we have encrypted password equals bcrypt dot think hash password generate password. What else is there? I think it is hash password. And what does it do? Password and salt. So it takes the password. Right? Generate password hash. I don't know what this is, but okay. I think hash password should work. Let's see what bcrypt has to say. Python. We should install it. If we forgot. You may also want to consider using script or argon. Do they have an example? Yes. So you have your password. It is hashed. So we need something like bcrypt.chancelled. Yeah. Okay. So we'll pass the encrypted password. That's what we'll store. Does it generate something? Okay. So now we have inserted it and we have to return the we have to generate a token and we have to return it. So we need the user ID. There must be some way we can get it. The JWT setup. Register route. We need the ID. Normally we generate the ID. How do we get it here? Let's check. So when we register, we have our new user. Okay, it returns it. So when we are talking about returning new user rows. So new user will have our data, hopefully. And let's assume that's what we are having in our result. So result will give us something. Let's print it. And assuming it's a array of result objects, and first result would be result 0 and the user ID. So result 0 user ID. We can use this. Now we're going to generate path token equals j. So what was the name of our method? It was jwt encode. Let's go back. So we probably have to import this from utils. Import sure. Or should we import it? We just do when we need both. So g encode dot. No, that's not a dot. That's a method. And inside it, we'd have the user ID. Did we need anything else? I think this is it. It would return bytes. Ah, that's why we're using encode decode. Okay, this is in bytes. So the auth token has to be decoded. Auth token not decode. So this returns a string. Here, auth token string. So we gotta return this in the response. Response equals and response data. Let's say token. Be this. And this. I think. Let's copy paste the last part. And let's return it. Oops. I think it's been about 45 minutes roughly, so let me just end the stream here for now, and I will continue next time. Thanks, bye.